Hello, welcome to this short video about robotic-as-a-service, explaining robotic-as-a-service through our equipment-as-a-service navigator. Fortunately, the robotic industry wasn't very much influenced by the COVID-19 crisis. Robotic applications are still growing, and if you look at the market forecast for the next couple of years, both industrial and non-industrial robot markets are expected to continue growing. But nevertheless, robotic providers are questioning their business model. Should they continue with selling robotic applications, or should they go for robotic as a service as an alternative approach? Yes, we have seen some examples like Electrolux offering its cleaning product, its cleaning robot through a subscription model, Skyline Robotics letting customers just pay for the window area cleaned, or other robotic suppliers offering the software as a service, as a subscription model to their customers, or for example KUKA, which puts the idea of robotic as a service into the smart factory approach by providing the entire smart factory assets as a service to customers. There are some disadvantages and advantages about robotic as a service. Like the advantage, of course, is it takes away the upfront investments of many customers. But the disadvantage is you need to pre-finance the robotic equipment, and you have to deal with the financial gap between your costs and your revenues. In order to work on a robotic as a service approach, we recommend to go through the 7 steps of our equipment as a service navigator. So setting the scope, identifying the value drivers, exploring the customer gains and pains associated with robotic as a service, looking into the strategic rationale, so why should I offer robotic as a service to my customers, defining the service offerings, so what should be actually included in robotic as a service, what are proven management tactics, and which kind of technologies do I need in order to get robotic as a service done. If we go through each step, let's start with step number 1. So it's very much about robotic as a service. Yeah, it can be the robotic, yes, but it could be also the entire factory. So that would be a kind of asset as a service approach. Or if you go to warehouses with many robots, with a fleet of robots, then the approach could be fleet as a service. Or maybe just a component could be also offered as a service. The accessories coming with the robot can be offered as a service to the customer. Or just a software package that comes with the robotic application could be offered through a subscription model. So there are different scope of robotic as a service for robotic providers. Step 2, identifying the core value drivers. Yes, robotic as a service could be about pay-per-use, paying for the number of hours the robot is actually running. Or it could be about paying for the performance, so for the availability of the robot, or for the outcome, the area cleaned, or deliveries made in a warehouse, or subscription for the software package. In order to mitigate the risk for the robotic supplier, you might include a minimum usage fee or a minimum contract duration into your robotic as a service approach. And to reduce the risk for the customer, you might be willing to accept a relatively flexible exit of customers who no longer need your robotic as a service offering. Step number 3, exploring customer gains and pains. So robotic as a service is much more than just shifting from CapEx to OpEx. A successful robotic as a service approach also addresses the total cost of ownership, the overall equipment effectiveness, or addressing the shortage of skills. That's also very relevant. Step number 4, looking into the strategic rationales. Robotic as a service might motivate you to unlock certain customer demand. It's about reducing the environmental impact. Another motivation to do that could be about stabilizing your revenues or closing the gap between offering the robotics through selling the robotic application or renting it. Or robotic as a service might also enable you full data access or helps you to leverage certain premium quality of your robotic application. Step number 5. So looking into the different service offerings that might come with robotic as a service. Of course, it includes maybe the financing, the owning of the equipment, developing and engineering the robotic application for the customer, installing, integrating the robotic application, until operating, optimizing, refurbishing, recycling the robot, or even services for taking over customers' operational or even business risks. Step number 6. What are proven management tactics to get robotic as a service be implemented in companies? It might start with swallowing the fish, so managing the financial gap between your own investments and the revenues of coming from the customers. Here you might partner with certain banks. It's about maybe finding possible customers for robotic as a service by identifying already recurring pairs, leveraging maybe some past customer requests, customers who already looked for as a service approaches, convincing customers by building a provable return on investment case that maybe with this approach certain costs might be reduced, or building an entire ecosystem might be also relevant in order to get robotic as a service done within the company. Finally, the last step is about what kind of technologies you might need in order to get robotic as a service working. And this could be about having remote monitoring in place in order to understand possible robotic failures, possible predicting certain breakdowns. It's about establishing an order-to-cash management to make it possible to charge customer for the usage, for the performance or the outcome of the robot. And finally, there might be also a need for a digital twin, which you can use to optimize the entire robotic application of your customer. You simulate in the digital world the automation procedures done by your robotic application. So going through different steps enables you to find a configuration of your own robotic as a service approach. Thank you very much for your attention. If you're interested to learn more, please feel free to contact us. We are happy to share our thoughts. Thank you very much and goodbye.